In the heart of Hiroshima, a small family lived simply. A father working in a factory, a mother baking bread and singing lullabies, and their two children, Haruki and little Emiko. The streets were full of laughter, and cherry trees filled the air with sweet scents. Yet war's shadow darkened their skies. One day their father came home early, pale and worried. He told the children they must go to their aunt's village for safety. Their mother hugged them tightly, whispering words of courage, urging them to help their aunt and stay close. The next morning at the train station, their father gave Haruki his watch, saying, "Time is precious." The children boarded the train, watching their father wave until he disappeared. At their aunt's, the world was different. Wide rice fields, tall trees, and fresh air replaced the city smoke. Their aunt taught them chores, but Emiko often asked when they'd return. Haruki smiled, hiding his pain. On the fourth morning, a strange white light filled the sky, followed by a roar and a powerful wind. The ground shook, windows cracked, and birds fell. Their aunt pulled them under the table, trembling. Once the ground stopped shaking, they rushed outside, gazing toward the city. A towering mushroom cloud loomed above, with smoke rising like fingers grasping at the sky. Haruki sprinted to a nearby hill, looking toward where their home once stood. But only fire and dust remained, along with a terrible silence. For 2 days, no news arrived. They could only hear whispers from neighbors and frightened voices on the radio. Then, a man from a nearby village came, his face covered in soot and tears in his eyes. He delivered the devastating news. Hiroshima was gone, completely destroyed, and no one from the center had survived. The aunt collapsed, holding the children close. Her voice broke, but her arms remained strong. Haruki stood in silence, staring at the ground, while Emiko clung to him, whispering, "Mommy is gone." Time passed slowly, like water dripping from a broken pipe. The aunt tried to comfort them by sharing stories about their mother, her smile, and the way she hummed while washing clothes. However, Haruki stopped smiling. He spent long hours alone under an old tree near the stream, writing in a small notebook about the city before the flash, the scent of his mother's cooking, and his father's stories about dragons and wind. One day, while cleaning the attic, Haruki discovered a folded letter inside an old book. It was from his mother, written before they left the city. The letter read, "My dear children, if you are reading this, something has happened to me. Remember, I love you more than words can say. If the world turns dark, plant light in your hearts. Let your hands build, not break. Let your voices sing, not scream." Haruki read the letter aloud to Emiko, who cried quietly. After a moment, she looked at him and said, "We have to share this. We have to tell people." They began sharing their story with village children and traveling merchants who passed by, recounting the flash, the silence that followed, and their mother's message. As the years went on, Haruki grew taller and quieter, writing poems and short stories which he read to children at the temple. Emiko painted pictures of the city that once was, the trees that still stood, and the faces of those they loved. One spring, they were invited to speak at a peace conference organized by a group traveling the country to collect stories of hope. Standing on stage with the letter in hand, Haruki felt his voice shake but spoke clearly. "This is my mother's voice, not mine. She told us to choose peace, and so I have." Emiko stood beside him, holding a painting of their old home with cherry trees blooming beside it. She added, "We lost everything, but we still have love, and love is stronger than bombs." The audience wept, clapping and coming to them afterward with hugs, questions, and candles. Their story was shared in schools across the land, and their mother's words were printed on posters and carved into stones in quiet parks. In the heart of Hiroshima, a garden was planted by survivors, where a stone tablet stands with the words, "If the world turns dark, plant light in your hearts." Every year, people visit to read those words, leaving flowers and paper cranes. Children still ask about the day the sky turned white and the siblings who chose love over anger. Haruki and Emiko turned tragedy into hope, keeping their mother's message alive in many hearts.